I would just cut up all the things that I had. And I would kind of like Frankenstein clothes together and make it different enough where kids wouldn't recognize it, where I could be
Oh.
myself. And then I ended up going to school in these like new outfits. I'd wear tinfoil skirts to school, like whatever would make me stand out and be different, where I could stop the bullying,
Mm.
of wearing kids' hand me downs. And it worked. A lot of the kids were like, "Oh my god, that's so cool," and this and that. And I don't think like wanted to be a designer from watching certain fashion things. I think it was sort of out of necessity of
Mhm.
where I was in my situation in my life, and it wasn't, "Oh, I'm going to be a designer now." It was more of like a fire was ignited in me that I actually do have more control of my situation than I thought I ever, might have had if I just was like, "Oh, well, they're going to pick on me."
This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November, and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn, different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I'm talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope you are too. Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy. My guest today is Kelly Dempsey, who is the founder and creator of Barterloo, which is it's an app that's just about to roll out. Very, very excited about that. Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yes. So I want to hear all about what Barterloo is about, but also like why Barterloo? Wherever you want to start with that.
Yeah, so Barterloo is a people-powered, community-governed app because I believe we don't have power in sort of the different apps and the different corporations and things that we deal with on the daily. And I want people to be in control where there's no ads, no data selling, no sort of investors that are going to change the original idea of keeping this community forward, community funded. And my idea was that I have always designed my whole life since 30 years ago when I was 10 years old. My mom had a craft store in the front of her house in a small town in Western Massachusetts. And I used to get bullied really bad because we never had a ton of money. So my mom would give me 50 cents, a dollar, and change to go to the thrift store right down the road. And thrifting wasn't cool then 30 years ago.
Right.
And because it was such a small town, I would be digging through bins of 10-cent, 25-cent clothes, and I'd be so excited. And then I would put my outfits together and I'd go to school at 10, 12 years old. And people would be like, "That's my shirt," and I didn't realize that, that was going to be a thing, but that's the only option I had at the time. But my mom had a craft store in the front of our house. We had hours on the front of our door. She figured out ways to make money, and we would go to yard sales and, thrift stores, yard sales, and she would find, things like silverware and make wind chimes and find different pine cones and twigs and make beautiful wreaths. My mom was always very resourceful, so I give her credit for that. Because at that point where I was getting bullied, I was like, okay, I don't have financial control of this situation. I'm 10. I don't have connections. I'm in a really small town. So what am I going to do? And I took my mom's sewing machine and I would just cut up all the things that I had. And I would kind of like Frankenstein clothes together and make it different enough where kids wouldn't recognize it, where I could be myself. And then I ended up going to school in these like new outfits. I'd wear tinfoil skirts to school, like whatever would make me stand out and be different, where I could stop the bullying, of wearing kids' hand me downs. And it worked. A lot of the kids were like, oh my God, that's so cool, and this and that. And I don't think like wanted to be a designer from watching certain fashion things. I think it was sort of out of necessity of where I was in my situation in my life. And it wasn't, oh, I'm going to be a designer now. It was more of like a fire was ignited in me that I actually do have more control of my situation than I thought I ever, might have had if I just was like, oh, well, they're going to pick on me. But I'm like, no, let me do something different. And really, I felt ignited. And then I went on Project Runway 10 years ago. I was the only self-taught designer, and I wondered, what did I get myself into? And then I ended up being runner-up. And when I was done Project Runway, I was like, oh, I'm going to start my fashion brand. Like, this was been a dream of mine. And the more I was involved in the industry and learned about the industry of the fashion, I realized that there is so many issues. It's the second biggest polluter on the planet. There's so many issues with water and land, microplastics, in the ocean and this and that. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with this. So as much as I was so excited that I had everything I wanted at my fingertips, I took a step back and went back to my upcycling. And now I basically work from secondhand materials and, have been doing that for the last 10 years. And I know there's not like a quick scale model. It's not about the money for me. It's more, I like to inspire people to look at things that would, be donated as trash and how I could turn that into something beautiful and new, give it a whole new life, a whole new story. So that's really where I went back to after Project Runway. And then I realized after a bunch of different opportunities and things and talking to, different people and business owners, there's been a lot of roadblocks. Like, for instance, in the last couple of years, I talked to a lot of friends with small businesses on Etsy, and they're saying their visibility is way down because people are taking, their images and they're using it as their own, and they're getting them mass produced, drop shipped from, Alibaba.
Amazon, right? Or
Etsy too.
Okay. I heard that Amazon is doing that, but I didn't realize that it was happening on Etsy. Oh man.
On Etsy, yeah. So there's different, corporations that are just pretending to be handmade and, slow fashion handmade, but it's really a slow fashion humans artists pieces designs that they are using the images and then using it as their own, getting them mass produced. And you're not buying from a human, you're buying from a corporation, but you don't know you are.
Yeah.
And on Etsy, there's no way to gain visibility. You have to hope people will go to your link or will search,
Right.
what you're looking for.
There's not like an algorithm.
So I came up with Barterloo because I visited the last few years a few different Mayan trading posts in Mexico, and I learned all about barter. I spent a lot of years living in a Volkswagen van, going to dead shows. I used to blow glass and make clothes. And the only way I could really survive, yeah, I could sell things, but there's so many people doing that we would trade. And I could be on the road for 6, 7 months. Not saying I would do that now because I was only 17, 18 then. And I could do that. Now I feel like my back would be a mess. But
it was get a car.
Yeah. I mean, so I felt like there was so much abundance at these shows because everybody's using their resources and trading. So that never really clicked with me until, later on where, it was a fun experience and all. But then I went to the Mayan trading post, and I learned so much how from a Mayan village that I stayed at where they didn't even have horses. And twice a year they would go 2 days to get to what was it, Coba ruins that I visited, where the Spaniards would come in twice a year. They didn't even have horses to carry their stuff. They walked for 2 days. So if it's that, if they were thriving that much with no cell phones, no this and that, and they're able to trade and be abundant, how do we all walk around with cell phones in our pocket that are disconnected when we can use that to connect us?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm like, okay, instead of being like, no phones, no technology, because that's not the way the world is. Like, everybody's on their phone. Instead of doom scrolling endless ads of corporations that do nothing for you but extract, you know, it's more about scrolling. So I included small businesses on Barterloo where they sort of, but not actually, but they're sort of take the place of corporate ads. So small businesses, you know, don't, like on Etsy you don't have visibility, but on Barterloo you open it up, it's a scrolling feed, but it's a meaningful exchange feed. So you see, if I signed up as a barter person, right, I would get 15 barter blocks that I am able to have active at one time, and I can post them to the feed at any time. You can also post to the feed, hey, I'm Kelly. You can friend people. You can say, hey, I'm Kelly. I'm new here, and I'm looking for people, you know, that are interested in this. You can follow people. You can share things. So if I had 15 barter blocks, for instance, I make bags and clothes. So I could have a block for custom bags. I also just made a sugar scrub out of fresh organic rose petals. And, you know, that could be another block. And you can say what you're looking for and you could say open for barter. And the algorithm my business partner has built over the last few years, or sorry, last few months is incredible because like any of the keywords that you use, you're when you scroll you're going to see the things that you are looking to get. So like when you sign up and create a profile you can say I'm looking for dog walking or childcare or you know plants or sourdough starter, whatever it is, and it will connect you, you know, in a way. There's also a search option. It's local, it's global. I feel like I just said so much so I don't know where to go. I got excited, sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much to it, and I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I want to make sure that I mention I learned about Kelly through Molly, who is another New England podcaster, and she hosts a podcast called Local Threads. And so Kelly was on Molly's podcast, which is how I learned about her, and just I was so obsessed with the idea of Barterloo that, you know, I'm following her now, and I just, you know, and I started an account. And so what I loved about starting an account was that you do have to pay, what is it, $1.99 to prove that you're a human.
Yeah, so safety is our number one goal because it's not like Facebook Marketplace where it connects to your Facebook, you know, account because we don't have a Facebook. So our importance is safety. So we use a verification process where, you know, you take a selfie, make sure it connects with your stuff because cut out bots, cut out scammers, cut out.
Oh my gosh, I love
you know,
that so much.
But the thing is like I have for so long have wanted to create something like this. And I said, okay, I know this isn't going to be, you know, a quick boom because any grassroots movement of real authentic things is going to start as a slow snowball and continue on. So I, you know, not using investors, I had investors reach out, but that means I need to compromise my ethics with whatever they decide they want to do. And I don't know. I feel like we don't have anything that's community governed, people powered, you know, where we control it. So there is a free barter option, which had to be a necessity for me because anybody can use this app. You pay the $1.99. But then also, if you do get a subscription where the only difference is you, instead of having 4 barter blocks at a time with the free, you have 15. So the free option is always beyond accessible and and absolutely necessary for me on the app. But also because we don't use investors or ads or anything like that, luckily enough, I was able, because for me to build a scrolling feed with the algorithm, I did the research and talked to a few people, and it was going to cost $150,000. I don't even have $100 in my bank. So I was like, no, this we got to figure out a different plan.
Yeah, that's
So
not an option.
no, so I saw Boston University works with the students and does real world projects. So, the developers that are learning, instead of just doing a fake thing,
Yeah.
they're able to work on real world projects. So our project got chosen in September, which I was so excited about. And I said, this is how I know it's meant, because things were always so difficult before. But I feel like through this process, when the idea kicked in, I was like, everything seems to be flowing. So I'm not stressing. It's not easy at all because I've never built an app. I go to thrift stores and turn things into other things. But like, I believe it's going to help a lot of people, and I'm super excited to see where it goes.
Oh my gosh. I love the idea of Barterloo. I think it's going to be so exciting and so it's going to be really fulfilling, and it's going to be community building. I just think that there's so much to that. And I mean, really, I was so happy to pay that $1.99. Just the thought
Yeah,
of not having bots or, getting scammed is just, it's so attractive right now.
I understand. Yeah.
And
And I just feel like we all have so many skills, and not
yeah.
even skills, but even secondhand items I made as a currency on Barterloo, because after learning about the fashion industry, and not even just fashion, but tables, couches,
Hmm.
whatever you have, that is all currency, because there's so much overconsumption on this planet.
Yep.
We have enough clothing for the next 6 generations
Yep.
to dress us. We don't need to, and it's not even the consumer's fault. It's the way the fast fashion industry really promotes it. Is everyone's doing hauls, Sheen haul, like all these hauls where it's like they just did a study that showed a woman wearing an outfit once or twice is considered old. Like, which is insane. And I don't even judge the person, because it's how they are marketing this and how they're using certain influencers as a bridge. They're the
Hmm.
bridge, because what does a haul cost? If a Sheen worker's getting 4 cents a garment, then what is a bag of clothes? $1.50 to them, when they're
Right.
making all this money and just extracting from the planet. Like, it's not doing anything good. So
Right. Oh gosh. Yeah. That's a really hot subject with me. I mean, I'm not I've said this before. I've had several episodes on fast fashion, but like I'm not a fashion person. My entire outfit is thrifted.
same.
It's just I don't
Everything back
care.
here, all thrifted frames. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't care, but I do care about the fact that people are like, look at how cheap this was, but someone's paying that price of
Somebody's
what it's.
paying the Someone's paying the price somewhere. And what's unfortunate is clothes aren't made like they used to, because they're made to break down. They're made for people to buy them faster.
Yep.
So over 60% of all clothing made now is made from polyester, aka plastic oil. That's it.
Hmm.
So, and also, on a whole nother topic we don't have to get into, I'm into sound, vibration, and frequency. um, Oil is, polyester is such a low vibration. Our natural human bodies radiate around a 250 frequency. Linen, I have a linen bed sheet that's 5,000 frequency. It helps with healing. Hospitals used to use linen, but now, when we wear polyester and stuff like that, that almost vibrates at a zero, which is like somebody not alive. Like, it's not good for our soul, our
Hmm.
ethics, or not anything. Like, it's kind of like uh it's kind of like, what is the word? It's like stick.
Yeah.
What's the word?
It's like hard. Yeah.
It's not good. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I just did an episode a couple weeks ago, last week, with a hemp apparel company.
Oh, nice.
And so we were learning about hemp, and I just I am on a mission to get all like natural fabrics, and it is so
Hmm.
hard, even thrifting. Like
I know.
So much of everything is plastic, or, polyester, whatever. But, it's such an interesting world where, I mean, for me, the natural fabrics are just like more breathable. Like I don't like the way I can't wear. I'm wearing leggings currently because my body
I get
doesn't
it.
fit in pants.
I get
But
it.
I hate it because I feel like claustrophobic. Like
Like
my skin can't breathe.
energetically you do. And we're like electronic beings. Like we're energy, so when we have something with a lower vibration, it definitely constrains our energy, in a way where I just feel like, you know we got to keep that thing flowing, like back and forth. And that's the whole community trade thing. It's not just extracting out of the community. It's like, I live in a block, right, where there's 20 houses,
Right.
but
Just
people can be,
circulation.
people can be so struggling. But if we had a way, and all Barterloo is a way to connect us. We don't sell anything, but also we have small businesses. I had to make that an option with the Etsy thing and everything else on the app. But we don't take any transaction fees. Small businesses can post as often as they want into the feed, without spamming. Like nobody
Right.
should over abuse anything. But post to the feed, and then instead of, they can barter just like the barter tiers, but small businesses also have a button for, support small. You can click on it instead of let's barter if it's a barter post, and then you go right to their website where we don't take any transaction fees. And they're able, because small businesses, you have overhead, you have all different things. So I understand that, and we want to support, and we always say support small businesses, but how can we do that when I get questions every day of people saying, how do I know this is an actual small business? I can't tell the difference, this and that. So we have on Barterloo, once the app is about to go live and people sign up with the small businesses, you fill out a short registration and you have to sort of follow the community guidelines, and then you're able to set up your small business account. And you can always report people, block people, because it's community governed. We want to do polls, something simple, maybe once a week, that when you sign in, do you think we should have videoing on the app if it's going to cost an extra dollar? And I want the community to build it with us. I don't want to build it for other people and say this is how it's going to be, because I believe this is a completely communal effort. So I've been really excited about hearing the input back from, what people are looking for and whatnot.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's so much competition for small businesses, just competing with, the big box stores and the convenience of, having something shipped right to your house. But I think it's a great thing, especially if they're willing to barter or something like that. But just the idea that you're giving them a platform to be able to sell their products, I think that's so important. And talking about the polls, like, this is something that I'm struggling with here in Virginia. Like, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't have access to like Facebook groups and stuff like that. But I'm using the Nextdoor app. And there's so many, and I don't think they're bots, but I think that they're people that can't be trusted.
I don't know. I've heard of the Nextdoor app, but I never used it. Give me a quick example if you have.
I mean, it sounds it's kind of like Facebook, but it's local. It's not a worldwide. I mean, you can put in whatever area you want, but like living in a new area, I'm like, I really need a handyman to help me. I've got to put up these ceiling fans and, to have yard work done, that type of thing. Because I mean, like I was telling you before we hit record, like I was kind of warned about my lawn.
Yeah.
But the people that respond, I don't trust them. And so I've actually said on the Nextdoor app, like, I'm not talking directly to businesses. I'm talking to other people. Who would you recommend? Like, I'm not going to get scammed again, because I totally got scammed.
Yep.
But
That's
stuff like that.
that's another big thing, and that'll come over time with Barterloo. But every trade you do, leave a review. So, like you'll be able to go to people and you can search by people with the most reviews and this and that. I want it to be like as equal plane as possible, but the
Yep.
people contributing the most should have, visibility with the, like in the way that like you're doing good services back and forth continually, because
Yep.
that's trust, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
like showing that. So, really showing how your experience was with this person, that person. So I'm so excited. Like my business partner's finishing, he's the tech guy. He's amazing. Same ethics aligned, incredible. Worked with him for 6 years, 5 years. He did my sewing, online sewing courses. But
That's so
I'm
great.
not a tech person, so I have like an idea, and then he just with the same ethics can like put it into tech, and has helped so much with this. So
That's amazing. I mean, to have someone that understands and knows how to do what you can't do.
exactly, I call him a brother that I never had, a brother from another mother.
Awesome. And so is this going to be like nationwide?
It's going to be global, so you can search by location. So if you want to keep it super local, you can 3 miles, 5 miles, or 50 miles. Or if you want to support globally and you want to trade coaching for a lesson, different online stuff, you're able to do that. So,
Oh my gosh,
um,
the sky's the limit.
that's what I'm saying. So, like, I was thinking, even when I made that, so the sugar scrub, and stuff like that, even though I'm a designer and I make bags, I have other ways I can help people. So each barter block, like we have more to offer than we were taught. We were taught to go to work, you have to work this job, this is what you do, it's all extractive, you're working for a big corporation, but in reality you have a ton to offer. You are the currency,
Mm.
not what your job is, not what your degree is. You are. And there's a lot to offer. Like one of my friends, dog walking, this and that, whatever.
Yeah.
And then this is my big thing is, if I wish something like this existed before, I don't wish, because I trust everything is on schedule. But I think about that when we can use our skills, services, and secondhand items as currency, that frees up our money in a way where you normally have to buy everything with money. So if you can get the things you need or want without money, but using you as currency, that's a like a figure eight. It's like an exchange where you are now able to free up your money for maybe go on a trip, maybe take an extra day off of work a week that you don't like your job, if you don't. It's able to free up your money in a way where you don't have to just extract yourself in one way. You can have a give and take, with a real human. And that's what excites me.
Mm. Well, I love the idea of just like flexing those muscles of the skills that we've been building, just doing things that we're interested in.
We all have skills, even though we may not think we do, we do. It's
Right.
just, it
It's not
hasn't been.
necessarily college education, like it's not a degree, but like I have a jam business that's on hold right now, but like, I can trade jam, or I can sell jam, that type of thing.
That sounds amazing. What kind of jam? I love jam.
But
Blueberry?
once I get settled, I might be on there with the jam business.
I love it. Well, that could always be a barter option, in the meantime.
Yeah. But like I used to do pet sitting, like that type of thing, so I
Yeah.
love the idea of bartering skills, not necessarily, I love the idea of, trading, secondhand stuff and whatever, but I love the idea of just like offering skills, and you're really creating a community of people, of like-minded people, and people that will, I love the reciprocation
I
of,
agree,
of
and
that.
it's human connection, and everyone always says, "Kelly, you talk to everyone everywhere you go," but why else are we here? Like I love like connecting and hearing people's stories, and I believe everybody's in your life for a second or for how long for a reason. So you just have fun with it. That's why we're here.
Yeah, totally. And so we're looking at what, a few weeks? Is that before Barterloo is ready?
Yes, I'm going to go with the end of February, but we have a few things we're just finishing up right now, but I'm going to say the end of February, if not a week or two before and after. So,
That'll be right around the time this is airing, I bet.
all right.
That's really exciting. I cannot wait to see how it all rolls out and the excitement building.
I'm excited just for people to experience it, try it. And the thing is once we go live, it's not, a search thing where you can just search people. It's a scrolling feed. So it really takes community participation. And that's why I've been talking about the pre-registration, even the free version. Any subscription helps the build. It's going obviously back into the build. We're not using investors, ads, data selling, none of that. I will not allow it.
Yeah.
So I take the hard road, and I know it's going to be more difficult, but I also think the quicker you go up, the quicker you go down. I rather build something slow that will sustain and help a lot of people, and you get there and then it's able to sustain. So, once the feed goes live, we have a few hundred pre-signups already. So, everybody makes a few different barter posts before we go live in the App Store. They're able to pick their username and set up everything before. And then once it goes live, you have things to actually, scroll, meaningful exchange scroll to see what you're looking for.
Oh my gosh. I have a feeling that as soon as it's live, it's gonna. I know you're looking for a slow burn, but like word of mouth. Like if someone is like, "You guys,"
That's how I feel. And I'm excited just to see, I feel like as long as, and that's why I love my business partner, because he's so good with the tech stuff that, like, exactly, if we build something really good that really connects people in the way that it needs to connect, then it's going to do its job on its own. And
yeah.
it's going to help a lot of people in so many ways, including me in my past 20 years, where I was like, I wish something like this existed, but I'm
Yeah.
making it happen for the
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's going to be, I mean, selfishly, I think it's really good timing for me as I'm going to be, hopefully moving in the next few months and settling in. I'm going to need some stuff.
Exactly.
And I might need to get rid of some stuff.
You got all the reciprocation to offer, so.
Yeah. And so what were you doing before this? I know you do secondhand stuff.
I have a clothing line called Salvaged Aura. It was Rack Attic for a while from Project Runway. I actually was working at a deli before I was on Project Runway. I always wanted to get into fashion, so I worked in restaurants and different industries for a while. So I was able to, go to New York to do these fashion shows and stuff like that. Then, like I said, after Project Runway, when I learned about the fashion industry, I wanted nothing to do with it. I ran the other way. I became an advocate for the Fashion Act in New York a couple years ago, and just really promoted, you know, the issue, not promoted, but really talked about the issues of fast fashion, and how the most sustainable way to shop is really through your closet. And over 85% of thrift store items are actually never bought. They end up in a landfill, and most of it's plastic, and it takes over 500 years to decompose. It ends up in the oceans. They think there's going to be more plastic in the ocean in 2050 than actual fish. So there's all kinds of issues with the fashion industry. So I've just been really talking about that,
Yeah.
going thrifting and taking trash. And I create one of a kind items, bags, clothes, all different things, to sort of show
Sugar
people
scrubs.
sugar scrubs. I'm very also into like all different holistic foods and medicine. I'm very much an herbalist and do a lot of that stuff, but I don't even actually talk about that stuff. But that'll be part of my Barterloo stuff, and I'll bring that out at some point. But one thing at a
Totally.
time, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I was saying before, well, yeah, it was definitely before we started recording, but like I had thought about, doing like a refill and bulk food store here in Virginia, because there isn't one there. The closest one is, about an hour away. And
Hmm.
I used to shop at a refill store in Maine all the time. And so I would get my laundry soap and stuff like that. And so since not having, I just don't want to buy stuff in plastic if I can help it. And so I've started making a lot of stuff. Like the laundry soap recipe that I have makes like 3 containers. And so I would put it on the Nextdoor app thinking that, someone would take it. I'm like $5 for, this homemade laundry soap. It'll last you like 6 months. And nobody was interested. They're like, but why would I do that if I can buy this, this Tide or whatever? I'm like,
I guess I guess the thing is like why I do what you do as well is that it's not common knowledge of like the different pesticides and chemicals that are in all that stuff that actually disrupts your endocrine what is the word
your endocrine.
endocrine system.
Yep.
Like there's so many issues with all that. And me and my boyfriend got into all I've been doing, like I said, since the my Volkswagen bus days, but I love all the natural everything. And there's definitely community for it. I live right outside the city in Boston, and you wouldn't see it looking around, but there are people looking for it when you do a little digging in, but you wouldn't think so.
Yeah,
But there's
totally.
but I think, like, right, knowledge is power, and a lot of people just don't know that necessarily, like what it does to our bodies. I had my half of my thyroid removed years ago with different issues I had with myself, and I went on a whole raw food holistic journey after that a long time ago, like 20 years ago, and or 15 years ago. But I feel like that's not necessarily bad that people don't really see it or understand it. I think it's they just haven't been in a situation where they needed to find it yet. But
Yeah.
I think it's a growing community for sure, with especially just, all the chemicals and everything.
Yeah.
I went to Greece and different places where my business partner lives in Austria. He thinks it's insane that, I have to eat organic because everything there, they don't have the same regulations. Theirs are way better. We have things allowed here that we shouldn't have, you know.
Yeah. Totally. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's been an interesting transition for me, just learning this area and what I can and cannot, have extra of. Like I
Okay.
made a really big batch of fire cider and I was like, there's no way I can have all this.
I
Like
just
I
bought fire cider from my friend,
dang
actually.
it.
She makes it herself. Yeah, I just bought a few bottles from her, but that is like right Barterloo, like the right people will see it, trade,
Yep.
either small business or trade, whatever works best. And there's something other people have that you definitely could use, and
Right.
on top of all that, it's community and connection where you're connecting with people. My phase two, which I'm not going to get into, but for the app, this is my favorite part, is I want to create sort of different hubs. Like you could start Virginia this, and I could say New England upcyclers, you know, whatever it is, and sort of like live. We're doing this at the middle of this next year coming up, but instead of like a Reddit feed with different topics, you can see who's live in these different topics at the
Oh,
time, and you could
interesting.
jump in and join different ones. And hey, there's 20 people in this right now, and you just talk. I really am into the community building, and I think that's how we all grow together. And how are ways, it's like AIM Messenger from back in the day, but actually positive, like a way we can connect together, on similar topics we're interested in that could help us all.
Right. I love the idea of, finding like-minded people. If you're thrifting or if you're, upcycling or whatever, but also just like, if there's a market for my extra fire cider, or for some jam or lip balm that I made or anything like that. Like, it would be so cool to be able to meet people that can appreciate that like I do.
Yeah.
I just think
And
that would
they're
be so
they're
fun.
they're out. I'll tell you one thing, they're out there because I hear it from here, all over the place. But what I'm doing, I'm gonna bring them together,
Yeah.
where there's one space where we can all come together and figure it out. What we all need to thrive and grow together. So that's what excites me most about all of it.
Yeah. So you're excited about this?
I am. I am. It's honestly at the same time, it's incredibly scary because, right, we have like no investments. We're just figuring it out as we go. But I genuinely feel like the way the world, I don't know, I feel like everything, I had this idea in March of last year. I'll tell you really quick how I had it. It sounds crazy. You could totally edit this out. But I study a lot about like different natural things, and dolphins are super much like, they have a lot of information to give. They're informationalists, and they have like a certain frequency. I went to the Mayan trading post a few times. I always had this swimming in my brain, but it was never solid. Like, I wanted to do this for a long time. My friend won a trip to Mexico last March and invited me, and I always wanted to swim with wild dolphins because I study them. I love them. I think not in captivity, wild. I want to
Right.
go out into the ocean.
Wow.
And I was like, everywhere I'd been, I never saw that excursion, wherever I was. But she got this trip, and I was like, I want to see what kind of excursions we have. The first thing I saw was a wild dolphin
Swim.
excursion,
Wow.
and all the other ones were an hour drive from our hotel. This one was across the street, and it was the first day we were going to be there. So I did the wild dolphins, and I told my cousin, I want to meditate on any information they can give me, or I could give them, whatever. I'm just going to flow. And I did a wild dolphin swim. I don't care how crazy it sounds, because it does sound crazy, but there were two dolphins that like spun over my head, and it was so cool. And I didn't get anything right off the jump. And I'm like, I'm not looking for anything. I'm just excited to be swimming with dolphins.
Right.
And then I did a whole trip, like 7 days, no thought. Wasn't thinking about Barterloo. It wasn't even a thought. It was just scattered for years. And then I come home and I land at midnight, and my cousin slept over. And at 7 a.m., I woke up and she's like awake. And all of a sudden, I just like
It's just like
couldn't.
spilling out of you.
It spilled out of me. I had a download, and I couldn't even hold it so much. I had to do like voice memo. I couldn't write fast enough. And it was Barterloo. I don't care. I don't care. I feel like the dolphin. You don't have to say that, but it's true. But I really genuinely, I don't care either way because it's true. My cousin witnessed it. She was like, I have never heard you talk so fast. I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I feel like, we need to start turning to each other, rather than climbing ladders. We need to build longer tables.
Oh,
You
if
know what I
that is
mean?
not true.
That's all I got.
If that's not true, oh my goodness. You know what? You just said something that you said longer tables. My farm, when I have my farm, the name is going to be Wider Table,
I love that.
because a friend of mine who was a podcast guest, her website is widertables, I think.com, but she is all about that. Like, just,
That's amazing.
more people at the table, just gather.
It's wider, like work together, not climbing backs. Like, that doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah. This is so exciting, Kelly. This is seriously so exciting. I love everything about it, and I cannot wait for it to be live, and I cannot wait to share this and have everyone just get as excited about it as you are and as I am. But so what does the word sustainability mean to you?
I would say the word sustainability means to me is using what you already have, whether it's something in your possession or the resources and the people around you. I don't think it's about, you know, finding something that's outside of yourself or something more. I think sustainability is something that's already within your wheelhouse where you need to kind of go back, find, and figure out a way to make, into something, because Barterloo is just using the things we've already had this whole time, but looking at it in a different way than, what we've been told it looks like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just had this thought as you were talking about this. So this is something that has been in my head for a long time. It's not Barterloo, but like I've wanted to farm like with friends for a long, long time. And this is my goal. It's just hard to find people because everyone's already committed. but, and I've said this a million times, but like, I can can tomatoes. That's not a problem, but it is so tedious and there's just so much, it's so time consuming. And so like, if I have friends available, it will at least make the time go faster. But with Barterloo, I could be like, I'm going to can some tomatoes. If anyone wants to come, take some tomatoes home or something like that.
So like, that's the thing is on the community feed, instead of, you post your barter offers, you post your small business things that go right to your website. There's also a community button where you can just say, hey, I want to can tomatoes. Who is in this area? And people can search it by their location or whatnot. And you're able to friend people and find people interested in the same thing as you. I noticed homesteading is really big, with Barterloo, a lot of the people wanting to promote it and talk about it, which is, I didn't even know there was a word for it, but I guess that's exactly what I'm already doing. But
yeah, totally.
It excites me because there's so much of that already happening. And, I follow a lot of different barter Facebook groups and stuff like that. But when I look at people posting amazing things, there's like zero comments or likes or anything. It's sort of like so widespread where, I don't know, I feel like Barterloo will sort of bring everybody into one. You can condense it by location and sort of topics and things you're looking for, where, like what you said, would bring it all together.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. It's so exciting.
I love it.
So, Kelly, how can people find you, follow you, learn more about Barterloo? I just rhymed and that was so not planned.
That was good. So my Instagram is _ Kelly Dempsey, KELLYDEMPSEY _. And Barterloo is Instagram at Barterloo, BARTERLOO. And that's pretty much. And then if you want to sign up, there is, or even check out the page of the pre-registration we have going on till I think the end of February is what we're aiming for right now, is join.barterloo.com. So that's JOIN.BARTERLOO.com.
Okay. Awesome. All right, you guys, you heard it. Check out Barterloo, join Barterloo. It's $1.99. You can get a membership too, or
one time.
And that only
to be sorry to interrupt you, for all transparency, that covers the verification process we have. So if say it went uber viral and 200,000 people sign up for the free version, we have no upfront funding. So how would we have $400,000, right? So that's just covering the safety of the community, Right. Yep.
Okay. But definitely check out Barterloo. Watch go on Instagram and watch the reels because it's so, so exciting. And community building is where it's at right now. Like we're so detached from life, and it's not good. It's not good. So bring us together and
we're coming back.
Yes.
I feel it in my bones. Age of Aquarius. It's my birthday. I'm excited.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And for your birthday month, that's quite a
gift.
It
is. You can't plan timing. You just flow.
True story.
It was nice chatting with you, Amy. And
Yes.
nice to hear about all your stuff. And I'm excited.
Same very much. All right, you guys, Kelly Dempsey, check it out. And again, Barterloo. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just want to take a second to thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I love having these conversations with folks. I also want to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her music genius, for Becca Coffron and her award-winning artwork. And thank you for listening. I appreciate that so much. Please check out the show notes for any links and extra information. And if you would like to follow my guest and find out more about them, I'm sure they would love the follow. And if you don't mind leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening, and just help to get this podcast in front of new eyes, that would be amazing. I would really love that. And feel free to reach out to me on the socials and let me know what you're thinking. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know that. I would love to have a conversation with you about sustainability. All right. Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,